I'm Neil. This is Danny, and we're going to focus a little bit specifically on baseball tonight, considering the trade deadline is tomorrow at 6 o'clock. We'll start off with what we know best, and we'll start off with the Yankees. So, the Yankees just made a big trade. They just acquired Jazz Chisholm, and
There you go.
I was worried
You
I was going
can't
to
you can't mess that
mispronounce.
up. Don't mess it up on the first time. Don't do a Sterling.
So they acquired Jazz. Apparently, according to what we read on Twitter, they were really close to acquiring Fairbanks from the Rays as well, but that didn't end up happening. So what do you think about the acquisition?
I definitely think we needed a shakeup, no matter what it was. As of before the Boston series, it was between Verdugo, between whoever was at third base, whether it was DJ or Oswaldo. Ben Rice was struggling. Torres was getting after the All-Star break. He's hitting really well. Volpe is, and Wells is too. But it seemed like with that Boston series, I know it's kind of a little bit of it's basically like kind of when you something happens right away. We're just kind of taking it as is and not just looking for the long term. I'm just looking at the last two games, and it's just like, all right, Verdugo went 7-14 in the Yankee series.
Yeah.
Wells went really good in the Boston series. So it's looking really well right now. Jazz is another guy I think he needs to shake it up. I'm glad it seems like he's looking forward to playing all the positions, whether it's center field, whether it's second base, whether it's third base, whether it's whatever he has to do. I think the Yankees just need a shake-up. I still think there's a lot more work to do. I know that Jack Flaherty is also another name that's kind of been floated out there today.
And he was sat from his start because of the trade deadline.
Yeah, so whether it's the Yankees or somebody else, looks like he's definitely going to get traded somewhere. But for the Yankees, I think it's definitely a bullpen needs to be a bullpen. We can't go into a pennant race in September, possibly October, with Weaver and Holmes as the guys in the bullpen. I know we have a couple more guys. I know Canley's been okay. We have Kirk Cousins' cousin, who's on our team, has actually been pretty decent for us. But just going into a pennant race with Weaver and Holmes, and I think we need. It's not going to be enough if we somehow sneak into the playoffs. We need more because our starters don't really give us a lot of length either. You can go ahead before I'll keep it. Then I'll say more.
No, like we both mentioned on the first pod, pitching was going to be expensive, especially relief pitching, because it seems everybody needs relief pitching. The Yankees need at least a reliever. The Mets need at least a reliever. There's a lot of teams that are in this race, and teams that I didn't think were going to act like they were in this race are acting like they're in this race with moves like the Cubs getting Paredes from the Rays. And that's another name that the Yankees had at least listened to because they're still maybe looking for a corner infield bat, specifically third base. Some of the pitching, like we said, we heard Fairbanks. The Yankees have been at least rumored to be interested in a possible starting pitcher, especially if they trade Nestor, which has also been rumored for the last day or so. But I guess we'll see on those. I like the Jazz acquisition. I love the fact that after we heard so much out there in the Major League Baseball world that he's a malcontent, he doesn't fit in with the locker room, I think that him coming in, the first thing he says is, I'll play anywhere you need me. I've never played third base, and I was watching before, and he made a nice play at third base. The ball came up and ate him up, but he came up as a shortstop. You're that athletic. Yeah, there's going to be things that aren't going to translate quickly right away, but the fact that he's so willing, and you have the other wagon, Gleyber Torres, asked the same question, and although he backpedaled toward the end of the answer, the initial answer was, I'm a second baseman. I'm sorry. He ended with, I'm a second baseman. But in the beginning, he was like, I'll take some ground balls there, but I'm a second baseman. Yo, you lead the league for starting second baseman errors. Shut your mouth. Get out there. Go take balls at left bench if I tell you to. You want a deal either from us or somebody else in the offseason, you're not going to get it acting like a malcontent, and you're not Robinson Cano, and Robinson Cano from the Yankee fans got a lot of hate and ire because everything looked lazy and lackadaisical. Well, Glaber, if you were producing like Cano used to at bat, then you could talk, but you're not, so you can't be higher than now, holier than now is the term I was looking for, and say I don't play other positions. You're a baseball player. You came up as a shortstop. Go play third base.
Yeah, the term I was looking for before was recency bias. That was the term I was looking for before. Yeah, I agree. To kind of what you just said between him doesn't want to play other positions. I mean, I don't understand. And then he brought up shortstop, I think, a little bit too, and how a shortstop was messing with his head, and that's why he went to second. I don't know, whatever, how true that is, whatever. But, I mean, especially on a contract year. If on a contract year, let's say the Yankees don't want to bring you back, I mean, second baseman, not having a good year so far. I mean, I think he's only at 240, 230 right now still. His power numbers are not there. I know he's played really well lately, but they're not going to look at in a vacuum. It's all going to be how it is throughout the long term. And with Jazz, the only thing with Jazz is I know they said they bought him in with the stolen bases. I just hope they don't think he's just going to go in the leadoff spot because we had Volpe in the leadoff spot and he could steal bases. But the word was that he wasn't stealing bases because of Soto and Judge that are behind him. So I hope that, if Jazz is the same thing, I'm okay with him batting sixth I guess with Stanton back, it's going to be, sixth. I think
he was sixth tonight, yeah.
I'm fine with him batting sixth if Verdugo's going to continue to keep hitting the way he is. Jazz has actually hit his first Yankee home run before, so it worked out. But yeah, the Yankees aren't done. They still have a lot more. The only thing is if we're doing again the Flaherty thing, then I know it's Flaherty for Cortez, but that still means we have maybe a sixth guy if Schmidt comes back. So still got some things to look at, but definitely looking at, I think relief is definitely paramount with only a day left. I think it's 6:00 tomorrow.
Yep. 6:00 tomorrow, so it's not going to be obviously as much time as you spend on the Yankees, but we also wanted to discuss on this podcast the Mets, since they are the other team in town, and they're also looking for an arm, bullpen arm, starting arm. We've heard these names. I'll just use them because we've been hearing them out there. You have Flaherty, but I think the word I had heard from one of the baseball insiders was Flaherty is not an option for the Mets. Snell, Skubal, Crochet. I saw Kikuchi's name out there today. And Fetty, who I think did get traded today.
I think he went to
the Cardinals,
Dodgers? Right? Maybe not. Someone else went to the Dodgers.
I think it was the Cardinals.
Cardinals? Okay. You're fine.
And then you also have Quantrill's kid. You have Tanner Scott still. It's rumored to be out there. And Fairbanks. There are a lot of relief names probably out there that escaped my research the last couple of days. But that seems to be those names. The Mets are looking for a starting pitcher, especially now. They lost their young kid, and of course,
Kodai Senga.
Oh, Kodai, yes, but they had another young kid who was pitching the other day. Had a forearm tightness. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but was pitching well for them.
The Braves guy, I think you're talking. It's okay. Go ahead.
No,
there was someone on the Braves, right? Lopez. I know he came out after the third inning. I'm not sure if that's who you're talking about. Somebody else either. So.
No. I know Lopez because now the Braves are looking for possible starting pitching too. But there was a kid on the Mets. He's a young kid. I can't remember his name at this time, and I will eventually find it. But talking again to do that. But anything you want to add about the Mets?
Just that I think Kodai. I thought you were talking about Kodai before, but I think that's a huge loss. Especially looks like he's out for the year. I think he said their manager pretty much said he's out for at least the regular season. If they made the playoffs, then I guess we'll see. But
like a cash thing, right?
Yeah. It's just a matter of I think the Mets. I said in the first podcast that they have to think about a lot of stuff because at the beginning of the year, they were not planning for this year. They weren't planning to be in the wild card discussion this year. They were planning to be, they weren't planning to be bad, but they weren't planning for playoffs. And to have, go ahead.
That name, Christian Scott. Scott's the kid from the Mets.
Yeah, young guy. Yeah, he was a young guy. He was pitching well. I mean, and I'm thinking about like I know they said they need to go after a starter, but I mean, are they gonna? Can he be in a pennant race with Severino, McGill, Quintana, and Peterson as their guys? It doesn't, and their bullpen I think is in shambles too. They have injuries.
Agreed.
I talked about that on the first podcast last week, and they unless they can get someone big, it does. I don't. I mean, it's hard for me. I know I'm not a Met fan, so it's easy for
Neither
me
of
to
us
say
are.
like,
We admit
not.
that neither of us are Met fans, but they're the
I
other
think
team in town. You got to give them some type of respect.
yeah, and then, but even that though, like I could easily say like it's not like go for it or whatever. Even with their lineup, it's Frankie Lindor. Is it really anybody else? I mean,
No,
I think Alvarez has been slumping.
Alonso hasn't been that good this year.
Yeah, Alvarez I think has been slumping a little bit. Martinez is not. I mean, he's still okay, but he's not great.
Vientos.
They've had a couple. Yeah, Vientos, Iglesias. They've had a couple guys, and I mean,
Oh
I said
my.
there you go. And I don't. I think they'll come back down to earth a little bit as we see, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. We will probably try to check in next week or as soon as we can. We're both going on vacations, but we do want to talk about the ramifications of the trade deadline that might be a little delayed. And then eventually we want to focus some videos on fantasy football, which we're going to do a real quick short one today on that. And then we'll obviously have more news and we'll have more to talk about, but we wanted to keep this one short. And thank you for watching. Any comments or questions and you want to argue with us, sports debate, feel free to comment on this wherever you see it. Have a good day.